CFA Nation? Gabe.
Nick.
And we're here today to bring you another installment of
Cricket
Tuesday. And Nick, I'm excited for today's video. I'm excited for today's video for two reasons. First and foremost, it's about my West Indies. And you know it's all about me. Me. Guys, if there's a video and I'm on it, you better make sure I'm going to make some reference to me. That's right. Sky just scored, what 110, 111 in that ODI. Who loves Sky? Me.
113.
Who was the biggest champion for Sky? Me. That's right. That's who. And yes, I kind of realized it, especially whenever I'm, on CFA. CFA is a vanity project. Savannah tells me, she's like, babe, you just talk so much about yourself. You just needed another outlet. I was like, yeah, you're right. With that being said, a whole bunch of people, we're talking about the West Indies today. A whole bunch of people have hit me up on Twitter. And honestly, Nick, I haven't responded because I wanted to wait to do it online, okay? And I wanted to make sure that everybody heard this clearly. I am not happy about the John Campbell situation. I'm really not, okay? Here's why. Because as a former athlete myself who competed and failed, okay? As a parent of a current athlete who's, competing at the collegiate level, I know you put your heart and soul into competing, right? You sacrifice so much time, blood, and tears to compete. And sometimes when you just can't, whether it's injury, whether it's age, whatever it is, you make choices you shouldn't make. And I made a similar choice to John Campbell's, and I'm paying for it. Okay. It really, really damaged my body. And I'm just saying that I'm not going to besmirch the guy because he tried to take a shortcut or do something that he felt it's the only way I can compete with other guys. Okay. He got caught for doping. He's banned for 4 years. I wanted the guy to get better. Okay. Because I love the West Indies. I want them to win. Right. I'm from the Caribbean myself. That is who I root for. But I'm never rooting on two things, Nick. I'm never rooting on an athlete to get injured. All right. And no matter who, even if they're on the opposition, you never root on injury because some of those athletes will carry that injury for a lifetime. And you never root on an athlete to fail this way, as far as like, you know what I mean? Doping allegations or something like that. So my heart goes out to him. I know he's in a dark place right now because when you take that route, it's because you're desperate, man. It's because you're desperate, and this could mean the end of his career. And I never want to see a person's career end, right? If you're not good enough, get better or let somebody else play. But to totally say or spell the end of somebody's career, I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. That's just being real. So my heart goes out to him. And, I know a lot of people hit me on Twitter and said, Gabe, you mushed him for knife. That's it. You ended his career. That wasn't my intentions. And I apologize. I shall never besmirch the name of John Campbell again. So...
that's not true,
bro. Stand on me if I do. Stand on me if I do. Call me out if I do. With that being said, there's plenty of people I could still bash. Han Solo. I could bash Johnny Bairstow, even though he's proved me wrong. Listen, I have a long list of enemies. Every single umpire who's ever lived, including the MLB umpires right now, who are terrible at life and terrible at what they do. There's tons of people for me to attack. Come on. I don't have to just attack John Campbell. But that's where I stand on it. With that being said, John Campbell, well wishes. Hopefully, 4 years flies by and has a chance to resurrect his career. But stay strong, brother. And I know you're in a dark place right now. Reach out to those loved ones because that's honestly the only people you got in your corner right now.
Yeah, I mean, one of my favorites, Fernando Tatis, same exact thing, right? And he came up with a reason and excuses for that. He's not being banned for 4 years. That's a tough punishment. This guy is already feeling it right now. It's basically a death sentence, right? He wasn't really playing the best before this happened, all that kind of stuff. Doesn't mean he can't come back, but in cricket, we know it's a one chance type of sport, right? That's all you're going to get for the most part. And we hope the best for him, for his family as he gets through this, because this is going to be very, very tough, like you said. Now, talking about going after players, you owe Shreyas Iyer an apology. It wasn't Sky that got the century. It was Shreyas Iyer. Serious liar got himself the century, the 113. How dare you? And you didn't mention my man, the first member on the couch. Ishan Kishan got himself 93. The nervous 90s, they bit him a little bit. But he was able to do what he does. And so that was really good to see. You got the B Part 2 squad out there in South Africa, still getting the win, chasing the 46 overs. So, what's up with that right there? I love it.
Can't make it up.
But we hope the best, like you said, for John Campbell, all that kind of stuff. Moving on for Cricket Tuesday today, I went out, did some research, got a bunch of new videos, and let Gabe choose. And Gabe chose this week to look at other Cricket Raaz video. This is Revenge of the Caribbean when the king was hit on the head. Australia versus West Indies. Viv Richards being that king he's referring to. So we know nothing about this story. We're going to be reacting to this, learning about the first time. I didn't do any research on purpose because I want Cricket Raaz to tell me his version. If you don't agree with some of the facts he says, comment below. Let us know. Educate us, all that kind of stuff. But Gabe, I know you, the West Indian fans, the John Campbell fans out there, and I know you need a little bit of love. So, I got your back on this video right here.
Absolutely. And Nick, hopefully that you can also forward this video. Those of you that are fans of the channel, tweet this video out at everybody in the West Indies who just got smacked by Australia. Sweat. Not even one. They couldn't even pretend. And that's what upsets me. That's what upsets me with the John Campbell situation, because then I get it. It was T20, not Test. But, the West Indies struggles with their openers. Once again, struggling with their openers, dude. Had a guy in there I never even heard of. And right now, obviously, Brandon King is part of that. Kyle Mayers and Brandon King. But Johnson Charles is one of the guys they went to. And, bro, just not being able to get it done. The West Indies opening partnership, much like Australia's opening partnership, was struggling. In years past, is struggling, and I told you I just don't feel confident about this West Indies team in the T20 World Cup. But I digress. We shall watch this video to see what the West Indies was all about, and hopefully look forward to better days ahead.
Oh well, your man, the night watchman, he had himself a nice little 2-match series there, so there's a little bit of bright spot. I'm trying to get positive, and you're just bringing it down right now. Please don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, if you're not too down because of my depressing friend over here, please don't forget to like and subscribe, watch some of our other videos, and we appreciate you being patient as we have not uploaded too much recently. It's a baseball playoffs, baby, and this team somehow is still in the game right now. Super excited about that. Everyone have horrible, evil thoughts towards the Dodgers for me. I'd appreciate that. And I'm not wishing the injuries. I'm just saying that they don't perform too well. I would appreciate. But let's go ahead and jump into this. Now, the Yankees are also in the playoffs still, but what else is new, right? That's nothing new.
Revenge of the Caribbean.
Ooh. Let's see the revenge. Here we go.
Oh, nasty blow.
Viv Richards has just got hit on his jaw. Hog is now staring him down. And the players of both the teams are now watching Viv with bated breaths. But all of this is the effect. Today's story is about the cause. A bouncer, a ball or tool, a weapon whose aftermath, the 1 second after it has been balled, that can determine the course of an entire match. Today we tell the story of one such bouncer that in the end shook.
These are men. This is when men were men.
Like any weapon, it can cut both ways.
I love his narration.
A young West Indian team has just landed in Australia. Now, when I say young, I do mean young. Most of the players playing were either playing their first or the second tour. But just a few months back, the same young team had willed itself to lift the World Cup, defeating Australia in the finals.
Oh, there you go, Gabe.
This series was being seen as the unofficial World Championship bout, a battle for the title of the best team in the world. Clive Lloyds with his young bucks on one side and the dangerous bowling lineup of Lillee and Thomson on the other. It was to be a battle of the ages. And as the first match started, as the Young Bucks, playing in Australia for the first time, took the field, they were greeted with the chants of Lillee, Lillee, kill, kill, kill. What happened next was nothing short of a massacre. Taking wickets, winning the match, all that was an afterthought. What was more important was to show the World Cup winners their rightful place. In Australian eyes, that World Cup was nothing more than a fluke, and
Of course.
somebody had to be punished for taking away what was rightfully theirs.
Damn.
So,
I love how they walk in
Australian
dancing. Just
pacers
Yeah.
entered the
It's like
field
Remember the Titans style.
armed with a lethal weapon, the bouncer.
whoa.
Head, ribs, legs, fingers, everything was a valid target. Players after players
Body line.
kept on falling, screaming
Jeez.
in agony
Ooh.
as they fell to their knees. The test match
Clive.
had
Ooh.
suddenly become a boxing match. The batsman having to duck, weave, sway, hook, pull, do
Oh.
whatever it was necessary
Deuce.
just to survive. However, very few did. Their exciting new
Gosh.
youngster Greenwich was so crushed by this onslaught that he had to be dropped midway through the series. He later went on to say that 1975 tour was a personal nightmare. So
Oh my
painful
gosh.
that I have spent my life since trying to erase it from my memory. By the
You-
end,
You
the
don't mess with
West Indian
Australians in
players
cricket
weren't thinking
sometimes.
about winning the match or scoring runs or even saving the wicket. They were just trying to avoid getting hit. Just as the Australian had done at the start, winning
Oh,
was an
yeah.
afterthought at that point.
Oh my gosh, and
West
no helmet.
Indies lost the series 5-1. But
Wow.
much worse than that,
Still shook
Australia,
his hand. How
with
dare
their
you.
bouncers, had crushed the West Indian team psychologically. The entire team lay shattered, their confidence lost, their kinship blown apart. And it showed. The very next series, as they played India at home, they would be picked apart by the Indians. The West Indians were champions no more. And it was then, watching as his team failed to save a target of 400,
Oh,
that the
wow.
captain Clive Lloyds made a decision. Pace bowlers. He would create a battery of pace bowlers. Bowlers who could put fear into the Australian team that had destroyed them. So, in the very next match, he would go to the field with 4 pace bowlers with the same directive that the Australians had got. Forget about wickets. Destroy them. What happened next was a taste of what was to come for the next
Yeah.
15 years.
Create a monster,
It was the
Australia.
first step in the creation of a team that would dominate world cricket for the next decade. And as this new bowling attack was taking shape, one other person standing on the sidelines had a transformation of his own. Viv Richards. Years later, people would go on to say that Australian tour was the coming of age for Viv Richards. He saw his teammates crumbling under the Australian onslaught. The psychological pressure doing much more damage than any ball ever could. It was the first time he realized the importance of mindset. The mindset with which you play the game, the mindset with which people see you, and the mindset with which people
Whoa.
want to destroy you. And through
Oh,
that,
he's mocking him.
Viv would go on to perfect his persona, walking onto the field with his trademark swagger,
He
leisurely
does have some
chewing
swag
the
for
gum
sure.
as he stared down the bowler, taking his time as he got to the crease, wearing only a cap while facing bowlers that could knock his head off. It
Dude, he
was
could have
his
played basketball,
challenge
football,
to the world
man.
at large. I am standing right here. Hurt me
He's a big boy.
if you can.
Even when he walked through the gate, coming out on the field, the game changed, had a different feel to the way the game was progressing. He had an aura and a presence and a swagger when he came out to the crease.
And as the years passed by, Viv, along with his entire team, continued to develop this new mindset. And it soon came the time for the next World Cup, in preparation for which West Indies once again landed on the shores of Australia. It was the first visit back here after the 1975 humiliation. But by this time, Australia had secured its place as the number 1 team in the world.
Oh,
And even though they
Jihan's
had
calling for the
heard
whitewash.
growing buzz about the
Uh-oh.
West Indian bowling attack, that was against other teams.
Even
This
though
time they
one
were
match.
facing them, the Australians. And standing in front of them were mostly the same faces that they had disfigured back in 1975. So, all they had to do was just remind them of that nightmare, and the West Indians would fall apart, just like before. But Come the first test, what greeted them?
And he's off the mark right away. Flicked it away, hit it pretty hard too. That's 4 runs.
West Indians were that team no more. They stood with their back straight, taking on the challenge. The entire test devolved into a closely fought match, which most of the time leaned towards the West Indians. And even though it ended in the draw in the end, it was seen as an insult. Australians were the best team in the world at the time. You don't just walk into their lair and draw a match. So, come the second match, the Australians would come out all guns blazing, specifically targeting that one batsman who had nearly single-handedly blasted their entire bowling apart. Viv Richards, the man of the match of the first test.
He's got the chain popped out while
Right
he's
on
playing.
the
I
first
love
day
it.
itself, in came
Oh, yeah.
Hogg and did this.
Oh, nasty blow, nasty blow.
Viv
gosh.
was hit on the head. The player who had come to symbolize the West Indian spirit had taken a fall. Everybody on the pitch, everybody in the pavilion suddenly had a flashback to 4 years ago, to that humiliating destruction that had started the very same way. The nightmare had been rekindled, and the reaction that Viv would have now, it might as well decide the entire series. Forget about the series. In future, people would come to say that half a second after Viv got hit, that may have decided the crown of cricket. The half a second after which Viv did this.
You cannot afford to let your opposition know when you're hurt. They stand up and they look you in the eye and they look back, and we have this little steering match for a while. You know when you would have got the better of them. By the time they turn around, they pass the umpire and they get back to their mark, they will take a little look around again to see if you're still looking. I'll be still looking.
Viv just kept staring. You may think that he didn't do much here. What's the big deal? But years later, the bowler would go on to say that it was like watching a horror movie where you keep on filling the enemy full of bullets. And yet,
And they keep coming
they
back.
keep coming
Keep
at you.
coming.
Hogg
I love
and
Cricket
his
Raaz. His
entire
narration is
team was
amazing.
searching for fear
It
in
is.
Vivian's eyes. And what they found was defiance. Defiance and disregard. Disregard for the best team in the world. Disregard for one of the best bowlers in the world. And this made Hogg angry. He turned on the very next
Sorry,
ball
I'm crying.
and bowled another bouncer.
Oh,
The next 50 minutes would be spent on destroying Hogg in every way imaginable. Hogg would bowl just 5 more overs in this match, each of which would be hit for 10 runs.
oh.
After which Hogg had to retire hurt due to a sprained back.
The
He would
man
not return back
kept
to the pitch
coming after
for
you.
nearly a year after this incident. But his one bouncer would have a price to pay. Because suddenly, the entire West Indian bowling lineup, a lineup that would later be known as the
Yes.
fearsome foursome,
Oh,
all of them
the four
had
horsemen
their
of
floodgates
apocalypse.
opened. Everything that the Australians had done to them 4 years back, it was paid
Ooh.
back in full.
Earn
Every
it.
hit, every ache, every broken bone.
We have that
was
ball too,
accounted
buddy.
for. By the time the onslaught was done, the Australians had lost 2 back-to-back matches.
Ooh.
West Indies had won a test series on Australian land for the very first time. And Viv Richards, while earning a groin, leg and back injury due to the retaliatory Australian response, he had went on to score 396 runs in just
Oh.
4
Wow.
innings, an average of 96.5.
So it
At
averaged
the
almost a
end of the
century,
tour,
isn't it? Wow.
The crown had changed hands. They would soon go on to win another World Cup and they would continue to dominate Test cricket for the next 15 years. But it was in this series that cricket in its entirety learned a very important lesson. A bouncer is an amazing weapon, but like any weapon, it cuts both ways. And there are people out there who specialize in turning your weapon against you. Thank you for watching this video. Thank you for
Woo!
watching.
They didn't lose a single Test series from 1980 to 1995. Holy cow. That's disgusting.
Yeah.
Wow.
Good call there, Australia. Good call.
Ooh. So honestly, the name of this video should be how Australia created the 4 horsemen of apocalypse. That's my only honestly, my only critique of this video is the title, because they literally created Whispering Death, right? They literally created that onslaught that would go on and beat people up for the next 15 years. And again, to your point, we got that ball too. You know, we got guys that throw harder on this side too. And that's always the equalizer. That's always the equalizer. Nick, I love this video. Cricket Raaz, if you guys don't already follow him, go ahead and do. He puts out such great content. Plus, he gives you a story, the backstory behind it, narrates. I love that video. Oh, Nick, you know, Viv Richards, like I told you, I've never been afraid. If you step in a ring, don't be afraid. If you do, bye. You know what I mean? You're done. We had a conversation about the other day, Karate Kid, right? Why did Ralph Macchio's
why did Johnny Lawrence lose?
Why did Johnny Lawrence lose? He lost really simple because his own coach took his heart. When his own coach is having other people cheat and is trying to help him cheat, you're subliminally saying, I don't believe in you. I don't have confidence in you. And the worst thing you could do is have a player lose his confidence. Once you have no confidence, you're done. Don't step out in the ring. It is that simple. I don't care if you're boxing. I don't care if you're in MMA, karate, whatever. And it's the same thing in sports. If I don't think I can beat the other team on the other side, I'm done. Right? For years, the Yankees had the Red Sox numbered until that stupid "why not us?" It was the fourth game of the series. One more game, they went Cowboy up. Why not us? Once you lose that fear, it is what it is. Let's go. Let's bang. And that's that moment that Viv Richards just stared back at him like, okay, you gave me your best. Only time I've ever been afraid is in a boxing match when I was a youngster is when I gave a guy my best. I hit this guy with a straight right, boom, and he kept coming. That's like, oh, okay, what do I do now? You know what I did now? I was on my bicycle the next, next 90 seconds of the match, and then after that, I look like, man, I was running. I'm not just throwing jabs trying to stay away because you lose your heart. If you give a guy your best shot and they keep coming at you, like it's a horror movie. Now I know I can't hurt you. What do I do? There's no more paralyzing fear. So, wow, that was such a great video. I'm gushing. What was your thoughts on it?
Like you said, the narration is fantastic. I love just his pacing of his voice too. He has the great timing there. I love the story. I mean, I love movies because of story. I love TV shows because of story. I'm obsessed with it. I can't get enough of it. And I love that story. I love how he put it together. And it's, you know, I'm sure there's people out there, cricket purists, that might say that's not exactly what built the makes a pretty good case. And you birthed the 4 horsemen. Because I'm watching this and I'm like, and I didn't say anything because I figured like, okay, this is probably what it's going to be about, but I don't want to say it and be wrong. But I'm like, the Australians going after the West Indians with the bouncers.
The bouncers, right?
I'm like, isn't that what the 4 horsemen did? And so like it makes sense. Like, okay, what you can do, I can do better. And man, did they do it better. Go into Australia and show them, because that could have been something that would have created like I mean, look at England. Sorry, England going into the Ashes in Australia every single time. How does that work out? They still haven't been able to get their back punch. I'm reeling off a huge, just one wild card series, but the Padres winning, where Joe Musgrove, who's dealing it, the other manager's trying to get in his head and like, we want to check because we think you're cheating or whatever. That could have rattled him. That could have rattled the team. That could have messed him up. But he took that controversy and he went with it, and he just pissed even harder and took him down. And then look at him. I mean, I'm not going to show what he did. I'm not going to show
do another donut.
That was being
do another donut up on the board. Like all you get is one walk after that. All you get's another donut. I mean,
that's what the champions do. Like, really? That's what you got? Okay. Right. And I love, doesn't have a helmet. We live in a day and age right now in all of sports, not just cricket, in all of sports, where someone gets hit and the athlete, mostly men, they just live it up. They eat it up. They're on the floor. They make a big, they want it to be so dramatic, so over the top. And then like 5 seconds later, they pop back up and they're ready to go. Viv Richards got hit in the chin, in the jaw without a helmet. And he was more worried about the psychological. I'm going to stare at that bowler and say, what else you got? And then when he tried to do it to me again, boom, I hit it for a 6. I love that. That's a man right there. I mean, you look at Viv Richards, you're like, yep, that's one guy that I'm never going to mess with, for crying out loud. That is a man. And I'm so proud of all of the West Indies for having a guy like Sir Viv as one, not the only one of your many legends that you can look and say, yeah, that guy's a West Indian. Like, that's freaking awesome. This was a great video. Sports stories are the best stories. Let's just be honest about it, because that's why we watch sports. You never know what's going to happen. It's unscripted, unless you talk to Gabe. You think some of it is scripted, but most of it's unscripted. But, I mean, this was a great video. This is kind of a longer video. The question is, what else do you want us to react to next? Let us know. Please let us know your thoughts on this matter, because there's so much more. We can spend another 25 minutes talking about this video, but we're not going to spend that kind of time. Thanks so much for watching. And with all that being said, until next time.
That's 6 runs.